The old woman didn't flinch when the chair slammed into her back. In a room full of America's toughest soldiers, one U.S. Ranger shoved her aside like she didn't belong, never imagining that the quiet woman he touched outranked every single person watching. Back-end index pointing right. From which part of the country are you watching today? Drop your state in the comments. The Chow Hall at Fort Granite was loud the way military spaces always were. Steel trays clanging, boots scraping tile, laughter echoing between concrete walls. Soldiers filled every table, fresh from training rotations, uniforms dusty, faces sharp with youth and confidence. In the middle of it all, an elderly woman walked slowly between the rows, her steps measured, her posture straight despite the years etched into her face. She carried no rank, no visible insignia, just a small worn purse and a presence that didn't quite fit the noise around her. Most didn't notice her at first. A few glanced up, confused. Civilians rarely wandered into the Chow Hall unescorted, especially during peak hours. She paused near an empty chair at a crowded table, waiting patiently, hands resting lightly on the backrest. Before she could sit, a tall ranger behind her lost patience. "Hey, move," he barked. When she didn't react fast enough, the ranger shoved the chair forward. It struck the back of her legs, forcing her a step ahead. The room went quiet in stages, first the table nearest, then the rest, like sound draining out of the hall. The old woman steadied herself, gripping the table edge. She didn't shout. She didn't scold. She simply turned her head slightly and looked at him. The ranger, mid-20s, muscular buzz cut, still riding the edge of adrenaline from training, scoffed. "This area is restricted. You lost, Grandma." A few soldiers shifted uncomfortably. One officer near the front frowned, but said nothing. Rank hierarchy was second nature here. No one spoke out of turn, especially not against a ranger. The woman slowly pulled the chair back and sat down anyway. That's when the first twist hit. A lieutenant at a nearby table suddenly stood up. His fork clattered to the floor. His face had gone pale. "Ranger," he said carefully, "you should step back." The ranger laughed. "Relax, sir. I got it." The old woman placed her hands flat on the table, fingers steady. "Son," she said softly, "do you know where you are?" The question cut deeper than yelling ever could. A ripple moved through the hall. The ranger opened his mouth to snap back, but then the commanding officer of the base walked in. Every soldier jumped to their feet. The officer stopped dead when he saw the woman. His eyes widened. Then, in front of everyone, he snapped to attention and rendered a crisp salute. "Good afternoon, General," he said. You could hear breathing again, but barely. The ranger froze. "General," he whispered. The old woman stood slowly, joints stiff but controlled. She returned the salute, not with stiffness, but with the muscle memory of decades. "At ease," she said. She turned to face the room. "I didn't come here to make a speech," she began. "I came to see if discipline still lived where respect once did." Another twist followed fast. She wasn't just any general. She was a retired 3-star, one of the first women to command joint operations overseas. She had trained commanders whose names were now etched on buildings. The Chow Hall itself sat on land once under her authority. The ranger's face drained of color. He stepped back, swallowing hard. "Ma'am, I didn't know." She looked at him, not angry, not smug, just disappointed. "That," she said, "is exactly the problem." Silence pressed down heavier than shouting ever could. She gestured around the room. "Rank isn't just cloth and metal. It's conduct. You don't lose it when you retire, and you don't earn it by force." Then came the final twist. She turned to the ranger again. "You remind me of a young soldier I once reprimanded overseas. Strong, fearless. Thought respect was taken, not given." A pause. "That soldier later saved my life." The ranger blinked. "Ma'am," she gave a faint smile. "You won't be him. Not today. But you could be if you learn." The commanding officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, how would you like this handled?" She shook her head. "No paperwork. No spectacle." She looked back at the ranger. "Sit, eat, listen, and remember this feeling the next time someone weaker crosses your path." She picked up her tray and walked out as quietly as she'd entered. No one spoke for a long moment. The ranger sat down slowly, hands shaking, staring at the dented chair. For the first time since joining the unit, he felt something heavier than fear, shame mixed with purpose. That day, the Chow Hall didn't just serve food. It served a lesson no one there would ever forget. If stories like this you will, subscribe to the channel.